Hello, hello, and welcome back. Today I have Lizette Ojeda. Is that how you pronounce it?
Ojeda.
Ojeda. Okay, of course, it's in Spanish. So we have had the opportunity to work together on a couple of different things, and I wanted to bring her on and have her talk about her experience. First of all, the genius that she brings, and her background and her experience and what she does, and then what were some of the results that she got in working with us. So welcome. Can you tell everybody what you do, what it is that you do, all the details?
Yeah, so I am a licensed psychologist, also a professor, speaker, consultant, coach, all that stuff, helping people who are amazing at what they do feel it too. So there's a lot of imposter syndrome, overworking. And so basically, I help professionals have more success with less stress without sacrificing their sanity, their family, their energy, or their identity.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And tell us about kind of like, where were you when you decided that you wanted to work with us? So the first time we worked together, it was through a podcast, right? So you wanted to launch a podcast. So tell us about what caused you to want to launch a podcast. What happened there?
So I'm a busy woman, like most of us. And so I was trying to think, okay, what's the best way for me to leverage my content so I don't have to be live every single day, and just batch my content, and like who is my ideal audience, and how do they consume content? And a lot of them are on the go, and so they're trying to multitask. And then I thought about your podcast, which I had been listening to for a while, and I love it. And so when the opportunity came up that you were going to be doing the podcasting course, obviously it was a no-brainer because you're good at what you do. So I was like, let's do this.
Yeah. Awesome. And then tell us kind of like what happened, like what was it like working with me? So, I mean, what was the service like? What was the experience like?
So something that I really like about you is that you keep it real. You're transparent. And you're an INTJ, I believe.
Yeah.
So I'm an INFJ. So I have lots and lots of feelings, um, and lots of ideas that are good, but they can also hold me back from taking action. And so you're someone who's like, all right, you want to do this? This is what you got to do. And it was like, okay, let me do it then. So you just broke it down so easily that I didn't overthink things. And you provided like checklists and things like that. So I didn't have to go recreate the wheel unnecessarily and think about things excessively like I typically do.
Yeah, like the processes and systems, I think it's my it's my zone of genius. That's what I can do the best. Like put together the action plan, and then it's just about doing it, right?
Yeah, that's really what I needed help with, because I have lots of ideas. I'm able to make really good connections with people, in terms of like seeing patterns, but then I get all this information. I don't know what to do with it and how to organize it. And it showed up in my business as well. So I
Mm-hmm.
really appreciated the systems and processes you put in place to save me a lot of time that I don't have to waste, and just simplify things.
Yeah. And then after that, you were getting going and realizing like you probably needed a little bit more help in the business to be able to show up in the way you wanted to, right? So that's when we did a hiring intensive as well, right?
Yes. So I actually had VAs that I have worked with before,
Mm-hmm.
and I had been working with a VA pretty regularly, but I wasn't using her efficiently. I had a hard time delegating. I didn't want to put in the time to train, because I just didn't have the time. So that's like a theme here. Like I don't have time. And so basically I was just doing more work myself than just figuring out, okay, well, what do I need her to do and how can I help her just do it? And do it in a way that's effective, not necessarily perfect, but that way I can focus on things that only I can do. And so that was really helpful in helping me figure out how to create a system, put it in place. And KPIs, that was huge. I didn't even think about that at all. I'm just like telling her, well, go post this, or go engage with these people, or, start building these connections. But I didn't have any key performance indicators or targets. It's just like, just go do it. And so some days she would just do a little bit, some days she would do more, but you helped me reverse engineer. Okay, this is what you want to do. What are all the things that you need to do to make that happen? What do you have to do? Or what can you only do, and what can you do? And what's like standards do you want to set? And I think also just empowering me to realize that this is my company and I get to decide how it's run. And that's something that, I'm kind of nice. And so it's hard for me to be like, no, don't do this way, unless they're my kids, right? Or my husband. But yeah, so that was showing up. And I think you really did a good job of letting me know it's okay. I'm the CEO, I'm the boss. I can set my expectations and set them high for the things that need to be set high, and be able to differentiate between what matters and what doesn't, and what I need to do and what she needs to do, and how to decide what are the standards that I want to have and the expectations. And if you can't meet them, peace out. But thankfully she's really good, and I still have her, and she has really helped me with setting the processes based on what I learned from you. And, I think the intensive was like 90 minutes, but it was really worth it. Like, I was surprised with how much we were able to accomplish in such a short amount of time. So for anyone out there who is still, calculating dollars for hours, they're not all created equally. Like, what you could do in 1 hour is probably, 3, 5, 10x what somebody else who doesn't have your specific skill set could do. So it's not the same thing.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I think people you don't know what you're going to get out of the hour, especially when we're talking team, right? Because whatever I teach you, you're then going to multiply that, right? Like, you can do that with this VA. You're going to do that with the next person you hire, and the next person. Like, you'll have that framework, the blueprint, the way of operating everything, that you'll be able to recreate that over and over again.
For sure.
Okay. So what is one thing that you were like pleasantly surprised about working with me?
Just one? So I could really relate to you because we have similar background, and we have kids, and we both did the preemie thing. And so I was pleasantly surprised to see that you can have all these pieces of you and still show up powerfully and create this company that really aligns with who you are, and you can be your true self, and also there's space for you. Like, my zone of genius is more on like helping people move forward, but more of the business strategy, that's not something that I am naturally good at. It's something I've had to learn how to do. So seeing how you did it was really helpful for me, because I could relate to you, and because you had a lot of the similar traits as I did in regards to things that are going on. And so it was just really refreshing to see that if you can do it, well, so can I.
Of course. Yeah. That's what I hope everyone can hear. Like, seriously, if I can do it, anyone can do it. All right. What, tell me something like that you implemented during our time together. Like, what were some of like the main things? And it could either be during either one or like as a cumulative whole.
Some of the things that I implemented. Okay. Well, the one that comes top of mind is how to really talk to my ideal client. The messaging piece and how that shows up, through the content in my podcast, through my post, getting really clear on what they want and how I can serve them. And so I think there's so much that goes around that, the messaging piece. It was really helpful to have your input in how they might want to be spoken to rather than what I thought they needed. Because like what they need, I may know the answer to that, but how they want to receive it, it might be different. And so it was really helpful to have your objective perspective to be able to guide me through that.
Yeah. And I think when we, like, this is, I call this the curse of the coach. Okay. Like this is, and I can tell you, cause I do the same thing in my own business. So I was teaching like my sales team how to do sales on Messenger. And I was like, within 5 minutes of seeing someone's Instagram, like whatever, I know their problem. I know what they need. I know what to do. Like I can fix their business like within 5 minutes. I'm not bragging. Like I'm just saying this is the expert's curse, right? The problem is they have no idea that you know that, right? So when we start trying to coach them or trying to help them before they're ready, like they they are not receiving it, right? Like they're not ready.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So like I'm able to, like you know, we're able to see what's the problem really clearly and why it's a problem, but you've got to talk to them in a way where it doesn't scare them away from doing the work to get to that place, because there's fear of success. Like, well, what if I actually do this and then I like leave my husband or, you know, like that kind of thing. So.
Yeah. And also like, I think for you specifically, you were targeting professional moms, right? But the identity piece, if I remember, was more towards professional than mom, right? So it was kind of like weaving in those pieces of like how they self-identified, right?
Exactly. So, you know, I was really wanting to help women who were navigating multiple roles. So as a professional with a busy personal life and family and things like that, and not have to sacrifice either one. But whenever I noticed that whenever I would put the mom thing out there, I was attracting not so much the career, the professional oriented, the impact driven entrepreneur. I was attracting the type of woman that wanted the business to fit around her children rather than allowing both to come to surface and her be able to be in both without feeling like she had to pick one or the other. So you definitely helped with that part of the messaging.
Yeah. Yeah. And I went through the same thing. Like my first brand, I guess you would call it, was all about moms. And I went through the same exact thing. I don't think there's anything wrong with targeting moms. I just think like if you're going to want someone who's also a professional or like also wants to run a, you know, a company, it's a very different conversation that you're going to have.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay, beautiful. So, all right. And tell us kind of like, what were some of the results that you got while working with us?
Well, when we talk about the one session that we had, the intensive for working with my team and making the most of my systems and processes, that has saved me a lot of time. And I don't have to repeat the process. I've got a process in place that is just rinse and repeat. And the fundamental pieces of how I develop that process is something that I can apply to anything else. So whenever I'm having a new project, I just apply the same principles and just tweak it based on the different platform or task at hand. And so that was really helpful. And also with my podcast, it brought in an amazing client. I love her dearly, and it's also a client that is, brought in a lot of money. And so I have the podcast to thank because, when we do Facebook Lives and when we do videos, those are great. But sometimes, people jump on, jump off, they catch you in the middle. With a podcast, you're in their ear, and there's, statistics on this that they're likely to stay on the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a different level of connection. And so I think that because of those things, and because my messaging was more on target, and because I had you to help me with the process of how to launch a podcast, it brought in that client that is just amazing. I'm working with her very closely for a year, and so it's very high level client. So I'm really thankful for that.
That's amazing. And isn't it so beautiful, like that you can continue that relationship, right? Because oftentimes I think about like the people whose podcasts we listen to, and we're like, oh, I don't know, like if I'll ever be able to have a real relationship with them. And she's been able to work with you for a whole year. Like that's such a gift to her.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Why has like that helped you like in your overall life, right? Like how has that helped your family? Like how does that ground you to your vision, your mission, like that kind of thing?
That's a good question. It helped me get my priorities straight, like the systems piece, and just really take a deep look at what I was doing in my business, and how I was in it rather than actually running it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it gave me back time. My energy, stress has decreased because it doesn't take up precious brain power. Like we all know about decision fatigue, like the decisions have already been made. Now I just apply it. We have a process. And so that has been really helpful. And then with the podcasts, like, being able to just batch record and say, okay, during this time, I know exactly what I'm going to do, how I'm going to record this podcast, and then I'm done. Then I can go and do something else. I can have time for myself, be with family, whatever I need to do. It's not something that I have to necessarily spread out, but it's like I could record a podcast for a whole year in one day. I had to. I probably wouldn't, because that takes a lot of energy. But like a whole
And
month.
coronavirus might like come in and like change whatever you had on your plan.
Right. So I think I really like that, like finding gaps in how I can optimize my business so
Mm-hmm.
that I can make the most of my time,
Yeah.
do what only I can do, delegate the rest, and make more progress.
Yeah. That's amazing. So exciting. So, what do you want to leave viewers with, like, in general, like, what are any final words?
Stop trying to do it all on your own. If you want to get further, faster, you need help. And if you want someone who is a straight shooter, who thinks very logically and is, she gives it to you straight and has systems in place, then you should talk to this woman right here.
Awesome. Thank you. So where can people find out more about you? What is your podcast name? Like, we want to get everybody subscribe over there.
Yeah, it's called Success Driven Women.
Mm-hmm.
And I also have a Facebook group called Successful Professional Women, and I hang out on LinkedIn and Facebook. So
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure catching up.
thank you.